Here we go. Hi, Tasha.
Hello, Sharon.
What you doing? Oh, I'm like, I gotta put a marker where my chair is. How are you today? What's going on with you?
I'm doing great today. And
Very exaggerated. Eight.
listen, in comparison to some other days this week,
Yes.
today I am doing great. So I want to say good evening to people that are coming on.
Yes. Good evening, everybody.
I'm Tasha.
I'm Sharon.
And
we are the Accountability Queens.
Accountability Queens. I'm in Maryland.
And I'm in North Carolina trying to figure out how to do a watch live on my phone.
Here we go.
How we get a share, right?
Sorry. Yeah. I'm trying to get it started. Okay. Here we go. You do share, start a watch party, and start a watch party. There we go. That should be it. Okay, good.
Okay, well, it went a little faster for you than it did for me. But anyway, all right, so tell me about your week. What are you grateful for? What's happening with you?
So, listen, I'm grateful just for life in general and good health and where we are in this world right now. But from an accountability perspective, I'm grateful for my accountability partner.
Aww.
And, for your logical mind when I'm very emotionally charged. This has been a very high emotion week for me.
Yeah.
And I appreciate, your level-headedness and, because I do respect you and our relationship, I listen to you. So I appreciate your advice this week and you're listening to me. And, I'm not always right. Not easy for me to say that.
Yes. I understand.
But I'm not always right.
And well, here's the deal. All right. And so one, I always appreciate you and we often balance each other out that way. And I'm grateful because even in the midst of your taking on a master's degree, and for those of you who don't know, we're accountability partners. And what we do is we help each other reach our own personal goals, right? And we do it financially, physically, in our relationships, spiritually. We kind of hold each other accountable so that we are getting to be the women that we want to be. And we also help other people find their accountability partner and kind of help them have the ideal relationship like we have, because we've been doing this for 9 years.
Yep.
And dare I say, I think everything we set out for, I think we've done.
For sure.
Yeah. Everything we set out to do, we have done, which is fantastic because there have been some great goals that we had for ourselves. I couldn't get that word out. And so what's important for me is, particularly in this COVID and we're just stuck in the house, is that we're active. I'm active, right? And listen, even though you've got school and we're like, hey, we're still working out, right? Yeah. Can you do 6:30? Jesus. Yes. Yes, Jesus. We can do 8:30, even though that ain't
8:30 a.m.
Yeah. Even though that's not it's not my ministry in life. Being in the AM is not my ministry. But I'm looking forward to our conversation today, aren't you?
Yeah. I just want to make sure we say hi to everybody. Today has joined us.
Yes.
I'm watching the comments on the Accountability Queens page. So just want to be sure. I think both of us started watch party. So I can't see the comments on Sharon's watch party. I can't see the comments on my watch party. But if you come over to the Accountability Queens page,
we will see.
Definitely put your questions there and comments. So shout out to Danae.
Hey, Nathan. Hey.
Ooh, let's just give her a shout out. She is Sharon's best friend, right? Even though Sharon and I are accountability partners, we're still good friends, but she has a very clear best friend. And, I think that's great. I feel like I know Danae I wouldn't feel like she's my best friend, but I feel like I know her and she's my sister, and I can't wait to meet her. I know it'll happen one day.
Danae is that elusive person that everyone in my life has heard about, but most of y'all have not met.
Nope.
Y'all wouldn't be able to pick her out on the street, but that has been my ride or die since the 8th grade. So we get down like 4 flats. Yes.
All right. My brother is in the house.
Hey, Keith.
What's going on? My cousin's in the house. Renee, really good friend that I used to work with over at NASA. Bev is here.
Hey, Bev Floyd. Is that Floyd?
Yes.
Floyd. Listen, Bev Floyd is always in our comments, so I like Bev Floyd. How are you, Bev? We haven't met, but good to see you, Bev.
Yep, Bev raised some Black boys. So she's interested in this topic tonight. I'll be interested to hear her comments.
Okay, yeah, Bev, make sure you chime in.
Yeah.
All right, and so as we talk about our relationship, we have 2 very special guests tonight, right? We have Ashley Garrett and Yvonne Doerr, and I hope I said that right. She can correct me when we come back on, when they come on, who are friends who have independently adopted children who happen to be young Black boys, and they are supporting each other as single women raised and particularly as single white women raising these young Black boys, which has to be a very, I mean, it's a unique experience, for lack of a better term, in any condition in this country, but especially at these times. I'd love to hear their perspective and how they're managing and how they're negotiating and traveling, right? This will be, because you're a mom, but you know of the experience that lays ahead, right? So this will be very interesting. So let's bring in Ashley. Hold on, Ashley, come on in here. Hey, Ashley, and let's bring in Yvonne. Hi, Yvonne. How are you guys?
Hello.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for joining us. So,
yeah, thank you.
Where are you joining us tonight from?
Washington, D.C., both of us.
Indeed.
Different houses.
Okay.
Yeah.
About a mile apart.
And as I said in you all's introduction, you guys have sons. Tell us about your sons. Yvonne, your son is?
My son is August. He's 4.5. And he's a ball. He's the best. He's so much fun. So, yeah.
And Ashley, tell us about your son.
Gabriel, and Gabriel is almost 6. We just started the very painful virtual kindergarten experience, which anyone that's on this call that a parent is really painful. So getting through it day by day, breath by breath, tear by tear. And he is, he's just like Augie, the bright light, and loves balls, he's got an obsession with BTS K-pop, which is an interesting world that I don't understand. And some other.
And he's not even a teenage girl, and he's got an obsession.
Found him on video, and they know how to dance, and really, that's all that matters. Is
yeah.
For him. So, yeah.
Cool. I wanted to talk about your friendship, kind of prior to adoption. I'll share how I know these ladies through a mutual friend, Michelle, who I hope is watching. But Michelle's one of my close friends, and she's friends with you guys. And so it's kind of like, these birds of a feather flock together. I think you guys are awesome women, right? Michelle's awesome. And so I was introduced to you guys through Michelle, and we've had some interactions, right? We've done some fun things together, Ashley. So I know of your experience, mostly through Michelle, and then through pictures on Facebook, and then a few interactions. Yvonne, I think I've been to your house before, but I was really interested in talking to you guys about your experience and kind of sharing it with our audience. So can you tell us about your friendship prior to adopting kids?
You want to go? Or you want me to go?
Yeah, we met as part of All Souls Unitarian Church back in 2003. So, we were in like a sort of orientation class together, and really, I just really hit it off right away. We're both sort of newly returned to DC, or I was returned, she was first coming here, and single women. And I think just really, we actually, Ashley, I've thought about this. We had our Friday night date for a couple of years. We
That's
had our
right.
Friday
I
night
totally forgot.
pizza and wine, because it was like, I don't want to be alone, but I don't want to go out. So we'd sit and have pizza and wine and share our week. And now
I forgot.
we still do that.
I love it.
Yeah.
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 I love it.
All right.
And so what led you all to adoption and coming together to support each other? I mean, that it's how did that all happen? What was the journey like for the both of you?
Well, I adopted first. And so for me, it was very much, I had been engaged. I had to go through a lot of that didn't go so well, and really had to think about what mattered to me in life, and did parenthood, momhood matter? And I decided that was a hard yes, and I wanted to do it, and I didn't want to settle for a partner that wasn't going to be a partner. So I did that dating thing to try and find someone that would be a good fit. And then I went, this is stupid. I can find a partner and I can be a mom and they don't have to be intertwined. And so a year, like right before my 40th birthday, my mom and I went to Africa. We were in Tanzania and Kenya. And I can remember being in a stand, like an art sale stand, like an artist thing. And I looked at this painting and I went, I'm going to buy that for my nursery, my baby's nursery. And I came back from Africa and started the process of that journey. And we had talked, both of us had talked, and we were in different places around kind of, we know we both wanted to be moms, but we were trying to navigate the, do you do it as a relationship? Do you not do it as a relationship? And I pulled the trigger first.
Wow.
Ashley, people say they can just hardly hear you. So I don't know.
Oh, no. Okay.
Audio just
I will try to speak up.
Okay, thanks.
And Yvonne, tell us about your journey.
So it's interesting because Ashley and I were close friends, and then I do feel like the decision making, like we were not as close during this phase that we were both making this decision. So it wasn't like we teamed up to make this decision. Like she was definitely ahead of me and definitely inspired me. Like I thought about it, and it's funny because I remember her trip to Africa really well, because while she was in Africa, I was dog sitting for her, because I'd moved out from the boyfriend I was living with, who was a divorced dad. And it was also very much kind of like, you know what? No. So I wasn't going to be with him. And so while she was in Africa, I bought my house. So like when she came back, I was like, look, I bought this house. Like I remember distinctly put the little real estate thing on her table, but I wasn't there yet. I was a slow roll for me. And like, in some ways, I had wanted to be a mom, and then sort of convinced myself that it would be okay to just be a stepmom. Yeah. And then when that relationship didn't work out, and then I moved to this house and I got a dog, and was watching Ashley very much, like, and every month almost, it was sort of like, I think I could do this. She's doing this. She's really doing this. So I could really do this, because I think I could have seen myself not do it, honestly, not pull the trigger. I think wanting to do it, but being afraid. But Ashley was right there, right a year roughly ahead of me. And then when she got Gabe, I was like, this is real. This is real. This can happen. And so, and then, kind of, like really, I don't know, really clicked into gear, I think, for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then Yvonne came to our, so Gabe was born in South Carolina. And she came as part of the family to the final hearing in the court. And I think it was after that you really like hit the ground running at that point.
It was. I mean, I was waiting, but it's funny too, because Ashley's mother and father were there, obviously. And I was very much talking about if I get a baby, and if I get a baby, and her parents were very much like, this is happening, you're next. And it was after that South Carolina, the finalization, that I started saying when this happens. And that was August, right? That was August. And August was born in December, that next December. So yeah, it was like happening then. Yeah.
So I don't know a whole lot about adoption, but do you get set preferences, like race or gender, or, were you guys just open to a baby?
Yeah. So it is, whenever I get folks that reach out to me to ask about the adoption process, I kind of describe it as the wild, wild west, because every state differs and every country differs.
Okay.
And so you have to get really clear about what what is the kind of experience that you want to be as a parent, especially early on. And then from there, the less criteria you have, the more likely you are to be matched. So for me, and I think probably for Yvonne, I think for both of us, we wanted a baby. Like, we really wanted to be able to connect with it, with a little one. And that is really only possible in the United States.
Okay.
And so that immediately narrowed that down. It's also an incredibly expensive process. And that is that's a thought around how to manage that.
Okay.
And then, yeah, you have to make decisions. And so, like, we worked with an attorney. We both worked with the same attorney in South
I just followed
Carolina.
her at that point. I did. I was like, I'll take her turn.
Yeah.
And yeah, you had to make a race decision, actually. And so you could go on a list. You could pay double and go on 2 lists, one white and one a child of color, or you could go on actually, it wasn't even child of color. It was African American Black was that list, and the Hispanic part was also on the white list. And
Interesting.
we both went on the Black list.
Because it was a shorter list?
Yes. I mean, there was definitely, for me, there was very much the practicality of it. I also have a niece and nephew who they're not Black, but they're Peruvian, and so very dark skinned, and it meant a lot to try and build within our family a connection to the broader community as well.
Okay.
But certainly on a very practical speaking level I was 40, and like, I wanted to get on with it.
Okay. All right. And your journey?
So I'm a social worker. I have been a social worker in Washington, D.C. for 26 years.
Okay.
And got my master's degree in St. Louis. And so was basically a social worker in St. Louis and D.C. And so I felt, when I was going through this process, and even before it, I've been sort of working for and with and on behalf of Black children my whole adult life. And so really, when I gave any thought to adoption, for me, it really kind of was always a Black child, and not for me, not Latino, because I don't have a connection really to that culture. It was a Black child. Like, it was an American Black child. That's who African American studies was my minor in college, and that's been, my sister was an exchange student at Spelman College. Like, I don't know, my family we're very white. We're from the suburbs of St. Louis, but I think St. Louis is a super racially segregated place, and somehow I think my experience was that my family kind of, you couldn't not know that and wonder about it and be curious about it and want to know what is the deal here. And so I think kind of created a real curiosity in all of us, and a real kind of commitment to, like, that's about, I mean, Black folks are our folks, my folks, and we're a part of it. We're all a part of that. It's all our story, I guess, or something. So yeah, for me, it felt like that's just what is going to be. That's what I want.
Wow. So, all right. So now, as white moms raising Black sons, what are what are you coming across in motherhood that you think maybe others are not coming across? Because your backgrounds are very different, right? And when people see a white woman with a Black boy in a stroller, how's that adjustment been for you all? And does it impact them at all yet?
So we've had somewhat different experiences on that when they've been babies.
Okay.
So Gabe is biracial, or that's my understanding. And so from the time he was born, there hasn't been an assumption that he's not from me. So I've definitely been, I have had a really different experience in that way. And that is not Yvonne's experience. And so we've had to really talk in some ways about that. And I've needed to hear from her more about a way that I haven't had to face, and that's weird, honestly. Like, I can remember within the first 3 days we were out walking in downtown Charleston, and someone was like, "Oh, his eyes look he looks just like you," and I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't, but thank you, but no. So early on, that was definitely, I think, a different piece for the two of us.
And I think that will actually continue. Like, I think that that is,
Yeah.
and it is a really different experience because, the grocery store clerk, little girls on the playground, never boys and never parents. Don't ask. I mean, but the girls, it's fascinating. Since he was a baby, they'll ask, is that your baby? Is he adopted? How'd you get him? How long have you had him? Like, and like, I feel like I've done not as good of a job as I wanted to do in remembering. One of the things the lawyers sort of told us, I try to remember, is that the whole story and what I know of his birth family, that's his story. That's his life story. Yeah. And so, to like try to, share maybe the smallest amount. I mean, I don't want to be, dishonest, but also it's not public information. Like, the details are not public. So now I do think DC is a somewhat of a unique community. Yeah. I also have thought a lot, and I even thought about this as a social worker before I had Augie. I know I'm treated very, very differently than if I were a Black woman pushing a white stroller. Right? There's never any suspicion of anything. It's and I have felt self-conscious with Black moms, but almost without exception. There were, like, with one small exception, I feel like people are very, like, sort of open-hearted and smile and that kind of thing.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's nice to hear.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a little bit about your Friday night dinners, right? So tell me how, as friends and new moms, you guys sort of support each other and hold each other accountable prior to, obviously, coronavirus.
Yeah. Well, so we, neither of us live close to family. Yvonne, as she said, is from St. Louis. I'm from California. But we've both chosen DC as our place. And so we've really intentionally, I think, and then just through circumstance, built not just a community with ourselves, but like our Friday night dinner. So we do a pre-corona, we would do every Friday night would be dinner, and it would typically, we've gone from, let's try to cook, to frozen pizzas, to takeout because we're so tired. But that's inclusive of not just us. We're kind of the core, and it's always going to be us. But we also bring in Tasha, your friend Michelle is definitely a piece of that kind of, when she's available, she joins. And then we have Auntie Kiki and Uncle Brian, who have been part of the boys' life since Augie was around. I didn't know her. I met them through Kiara, and they're part of, so we have this kind of smaller family connection, but we alternate. And I think one of the things we try to struggle with is, how do we do the connecting that's just us as moms? Because most of those folks that come together with us on Friday night aren't moms or parents. And so carving out that space that's for us, where we can have some of those conversations that are really different than, a larger family group.
Yeah, we've talked about, I think, someday when we can all be together again, making sure that there's times and it is just moms talk. Because it is different. It's great. I mean, the Friday, the boys, since Augie was a tiny baby, they do their thing. Like, used to be lots of supervision so they don't knock each other over. And now we can basically be like, okay, go upstairs or go downstairs and, do your thing. And then we can, a lot of it is just sort of our week and our work. And I feel really fortunate because, like, it's everything, right? It's our housing refinances and our roof repairs and our, everything that happens in our lives. But I think I would really love us to have, be more accountability partners for each other as parents of Black boys, particularly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me, how will you, or have you any plans of how are you, instilling their culture, their African American culture, into their lives? It's a different culture.
Yeah. I mean, for us, so like both of us, Auntie Kiki and Uncle Brian are both Black, and they're an integral part of both boys' lives. And I think we each are really intentional about growing our community in that way.
Okay.
I, especially when coronavirus kind of hit, I actually relocated for 3 months to be with family in California. And California is a weird place for Black people, frankly, as a not having been through it. And it's this incredibly difficult place of being a white person and a white woman who also works. I don't do social work, but I run a national center on human trafficking. And so I know a lot around how race and a wide variety of other things can differently impact. And I've spent my life trying to change that. And so California is weird because it's very segregated and there's very small pockets of people that are Black. And so it was really hard to actually be out there as, you know, as Mr. Floyd was being murdered and feeling so disconnected and feeling so frantic about getting my child back to a community where he had role models, but he also was safer, frankly. And that's coming from a liberal Northern California environment, right? That's very diverse, but it's not diverse in ways that he looks like. So part of it is just literally the geography. Like DC's our home. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And then it's really trying to seek out. So anything it sounds stupid, but like just making sure like the books on our bookshelves are Black authors and the movies that we're watching. Like, I mean, I love Chadwick Boseman for many things, but his death just like devastated me for my son. Yeah. So like just finding as much of those intentionalities as we can and knowing that I don't know that, right? Like I don't know that. And so I have to sit in this weird world where am I representing, when I'm having even race conversations, am I representing myself and my white woman self, or am I representing my son who's Black and 5 and can't have that voice yet? And, and how that feels so hard, right? Like it feels impossible because I can't have his voice and yet he can't have his yet. So I have to.
Right.
But now I need to be disrespectful of the fact that I am white. So I don't even know if I answered that. It's very complicated.
Well, there's a lot there. Yvonne, what are your thoughts on how you'll instill cultural?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's a lifelong process, and I feel like I could probably always do more and better. Honestly, we live in a very it was historically it was historically white and Jewish. Then it was my former next door neighbor in Petworth when I moved in. Her name was also Yvonne, and when I met her, she said, when my family bought this house in '54, we were the first Black family in the block. So, and she was still there, you know, to circle through. So we have lots of African American neighbors. I have a few coworkers that are African American women with children close to Augie's age, which is great. And we've done some things, and I'll tell you, this might be my own insecurity, but being single, like I would love to hang out more with these women, like dinner party stuff, but like I feel like single women don't really get invited to dinner with couples, with families. I mean, like that, I don't know, like it just doesn't seem to happen. And I don't really take it personally, like they don't like me. It's just like more awkward or something, I think, because you don't have that partner there. So like when I think about those women, man, I'd love to be sort of more in their sort of inner circle, but like, and it doesn't really seem like that's exactly open to me. So in any case, so there's just I think Augie goes to a totally old school Black barber that I love, that I like hope he'll go to all his life on Kennedy Street. And but I think I think that's going to be absolutely, you know, a lifelong journey. And I remember, you know, in the adoption world, we had to make these books, like these, you know, please give, you know, like I'm Fabulous book, which was awful and weird.
It's like Match.com.
It's like Match.com. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the kind of nice part I felt like was that you do get chosen. So you kind of felt like, well, so I put myself out there and this person chose me. So like, that feels kind of good, whatever. Oh, but I remember saying in that book, like, I've tried really hard to like learn and pay attention, but I also know there's so much I do not know. And I am going to have to learn. He's going to teach me. The world is going to teach me. I'm going to need lots of people like in and around our world, and it's going to be like work that I think I can honestly say I would not have done without this child. Like, I want to think I'm this, liberal, woman, but I wouldn't have done that work. I don't think so. I welcome it and am, intimidated on some level. Like, it scares me on some level. I do think, I don't know, weirdly, I think the whole spring we've had with, the protests and like, I do feel sort of optimistic and that more white people are starting to understand, because I feel like outside of a very small circle, and luckily for me, my immediate family is definitely a part of that circle. Like, they understand. I feel like a lot of well-intentioned white folks would be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I don't really, you think he's more at risk? Are you're worried about him? Oh, like, and so I do feel like that is more a part of a public conversation now is good. Like, it's easier for us to maybe enter those conversations because it's not just like something I'm making up. You know what I mean? That's not real. So I want to be optimistic about the last 6 months and the shifts, and that there's more white people having these conversations.
Yeah.
And that's a really good thing, I feel like.
I do feel like I've seen a lot more of it especially on social media, like white moms speaking up about, I've got a black son, right? And I do have these fears for him. You sort of mentioned it a little bit, but can you talk a little more specifically about what type of fears you have for, raising black boys, considering, sort of social unrest that we've got going on right now?
I have every fear every day. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I worry. I haven't seen this yet, but I mean, even worry just about at the earliest. He's 4, and like, I have a coworker who has 2 biracial sons. I remember her telling me when her kids were like 4 and 5 that she's white, but her kids are biracial. That she was really struck at how her 4 and 5-year-old sons, their behavior was being interpreted as sort of like aggressive or semi-violent or and I know that I know that happened. I see that, and so I worry about that for sure. Like, tiny things, like we walk around the neighborhood, I know I'm way more conscious of telling Augie, like, don't go on anybody's lawn that we don't know them. Like, we don't go on their lawn, right? I don't know that I would really be saying that or even thinking that as much. I don't think anybody told me that when I was a kid. I don't remember ever being told that, and he's 4, right? So it's like, yeah.
I remember from the very first minute I held Gabe, I knew there would, and then both boys actually are pretty, well, I mean, we're moms, so of course we're going to think they're adorable, but they get a lot of attention for their cute factor.
Yeah.
And every single time someone comments about how cute he is or Augie is, I wonder, what age is that going to change? And he's not going to be cute, and he's going to be a threat.
Yes.
And so it's terrifying, as I think it is for any parent. What feels really hard is how not prepared, like, I can go and we're doing, like, I think Yvonne and I have talked about, like, how we're going out to try and learn and find people and find family for him, for both of them, that can help them walk that walk in a way that I can't. But I actually have to change how I act, because, like, I used to work in law enforcement, and I feel very comfortable at talking truth to law enforcement. And my son cannot see me do that.
Yeah.
And so how do you like hold back and hold back who you are and who you fought to be in some ways, because that is going to get him killed, frankly. And that is, it's terrifying. But I also, it's just in the last few weeks where it's been, and so that has been something that from the time I literally held him on Thanksgiving Day in 2014, like it has been a presence. And so part of me in the last several months, I was with family when Mr. Floyd was killed. And so all my white family is all of a sudden all super concerned, and not that they weren't concerned before, but they had a whole new layer of level of intensity.
It's come closer.
Conversations and like, and I was like, dude, I have been feeling that. You may not have, but I have been feeling that for, 5.5 years. And I can't do this with you. I need to prioritize and focus on, if I'm going to have conversations around race, I'm talking to my Black friends and I'm seeking out my Black people, because I have to prepare him, and you go do your thing. And I welcome that, and he needs that. He needs you to be a real ally, but I have to prepare him to walk in shoes that we haven't walked in. And it's,
right.
I think in motherhood in general, like there's so many things that you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, but this one feels particularly like it's the ultimate. It's life or death.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
It says it's necessary to teach them at any age. You have to teach them their reality.
Right.
And that's going to be difficult because you all don't really fully understand the reality that faces them. And so, whereas we are African-American women, obviously we're not boys, but we have fathers, uncles, cousins, brothers, and we are women, and we are Black women, and we have our own challenges, and we know how we have to move in order to stay safe. And we've been taught that since we were children. So I want to ask, because you said there is Auntie Kiki and Uncle
Brian.
Uncle Brian. Talk about kind of what role they play. Like, how often do they see him? What role and how much? Because your mom, they're not the parents, right? So how much involvement is there, right? And that's for both of you, right, Yvonne? They're involved in your son too. Yeah. How much is that? How does that work?
It's interesting. Kiki and Brian lived about a block and a half from me, and I met them here in the neighborhood through other friends when we first moved in. Mm-hmm. And we used to teasingly call her the mayor of Petworth and stuff. And then she left me and moved to like blocks from Ashley. So now she's the mayor of Mount Pleasant. So
super true.
So yeah, so we are a little bit less, especially since COVID, a lot less connected. Yeah. But we saw every week we saw them. Not until COVID, but I think I'll let Ashley talk about it. I think they've definitely been more intimately involved in her life since they moved and stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, more recently, they're part of our COVID pod. So I'm actually in their house right now, and I work from their home. And my son does virtual learning at our house. And so, like, he's downstairs with them right now. So they are Auntie and Uncle, and I'd say Auntie is definitely more involved. Uncle works more and is just a little bit more distant. But I think that one of the things that has really changed for us in the last like 6 months to a year, and I think because of the heightened attention in the global world around racism and whatnot, we've been able to have different kinds of conversations. So I can remember, like, we were talking about something, the three of us were together, and it was something that we won't go into, but I looked at Kiara and I was like, so what is there something we're missing that's from a Black perspective that we're not thinking through? And some of it was just, no, you're thinking and that is what the perspective was, right? And we were kind of attuned to it, but it was this like ability to kind of check in and hear, and it's, Uncle Brian grew up in DC, so he knows this community and he knows the city, and so there's definitely pieces that, and he feels and has communicated the obligation and the commitment to both boys about helping them navigate in ways that we won't be able to. So, and my hope is that we find more, we continue to build that out, right? That we continue not only with them and each other, but also expand that to new families.
Yeah.
Wow.
Keith was asking the question, how do you prepare for that and how do you do that? And I think that's the perfect answer to the question, right?
Yeah.
I'm so glad to hear that you guys have, a really supportive community. I think adoption's wonderful just in general, regardless of race, age, whatever. So I applaud you guys for even doing that. There's so many kids out there that I think need homes in general. And so I think that's really awesome that you guys adopted. But yeah, I'm glad you have a supportive community and that you're able to support and hold each other accountable.
Yeah. And support each other. I mean, it's a feat to do it, I think, as a single woman.
Yeah.
I think it's a feat to do as a single woman of a certain age. Right. And then to go ahead and so I applaud you all. It's because it's not going to be, motherhood is not an easy journey. And there's some level of complexities that have been added onto your situation, to say the very least.
Yeah.
So
I feel just one other thing, I'm sure we'll continue this conversation afterwards, but a connection, right? When you talk about not being invited to dinner when there's couples, right? My oldest daughter is special needs. And so I've felt that same sort of like, we're not invited because although she might be the same age as some of my friends' kids, like we're not invited because she's got special needs. Yeah. So I'll tell you on that.
Tasha, I think what that meant was you need to start inviting them over to your house.
Yeah. So subtle. We're so subtle.
Girls.
I'm just saying, Tasha's got a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old.
Yeah, she's got a lot on her plate.
Yeah.
Master's program.
Well, that's true. She does have a master's program, but I'm going to speak for her. I think she'd like a play date.
Let's do it.
We're in.
All
Let's do
right.
it.
Sharon.
I'm here for you.
My introduction.
I'm here for you. And so just our last, I think you kind of answered it, but like, okay, so what would you tell moms, women who are thinking about adopting as women of a certain age? And also, what would you tell those, and believe it or not, it's my friend Anna, she's probably watching, is it interracial? Is it called interracial
adoption?
Interracial adoption. She gave me a bunch of new words, and I was like, "You got to be kidding me! I didn't know all this existed." Yeah. But tell me,
it'll probably change in 5 years.
Yeah. What advice?
I think there's a lot in there. So really quickly, I would say women of a certain age, best time to become a mom, because you've done your life. That's like, I don't miss any of the stuff. And I'm watching friends that had kids in their 20s, and their realities now are very different, and they're wanting to go out and do things. And I'm like, I'm good. I'm done. I've traveled. I've, had amazing and interesting career choices and whatnot. So I think it's great at the age point. Single parenthood is both a positive because it is lonelier and it is harder. But at the same time, I watch some of my friends who don't have necessarily what I would call a phenomenal, or they would even call a phenomenal partnership. And there's no one at the end of the day that is bailing on you because they're not here anyway. So you don't have this kind of negotiation or any of it. It's kind of you. So
no drama. You just take care of it.
Yeah, you just do it.
Yeah.
And I think my take on the interracial is that you better be prepared and know that you are putting your life experience at the back burner, and you are.
Oh, there.
Oh, you vanished right at the key moment.
Sorry.
I know, right?
Right. You were like, bring it home.
But that if you are going to look at adopting interracially, it's the greatest gift he has given me. And he has given me more than I have given him. Frankly, he would have found an amazing family.
I totally feel the same way.
It's really me. But it is terrifying, and it is hard, and it is amazing. So you have to be prepared for that, and you have to be comfortable with asking questions that you wouldn't necessarily have asked before, and putting yourself into spaces that you wouldn't have necessarily asked before. But somehow it becomes so much easier when it's not about me at all. And I think that's just parenthood as well.
Wow. Yvonne, your thoughts?
Man, I hate to go after that. That was really well said. Yeah. Yes. I mean, I would echo everything she said, that I am having so much more fun than I ever expected to. Like this is the happiest 5 years of my life for sure. Like in ways I did not expect. I was very conscious of like, this is going to be a ton of work, but I don't even think about the work. I love, 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 love it. And I love that I don't know, and I have to be pushed, and I have to think all the time. I have to always be thinking about, what do I need to do better? Who else do I need to talk to? And yeah, like, I think it's a secret that nobody tells you, but like in a way, not having a partner, it's exhausting, but it's just simple. You just take care of it. And you've got
build your village.
And you've got your, yeah.
Aunties and uncles.
I actually have a few married friends that have been like, thank you for saying that, because I always felt that way. And now that you're saying that, like, and yeah, we have if I work totally alone, like alone, like I remember even when I did my little book saying like, I am not married, but I am not alone, right? I have my book was even called Yvonne's Village, because it was like, this is my village that I want to bring this child into. And I feel like we have really, there's always more, but I mean, I feel like we have done that. We are doing that. We're building a village, and it needs to grow, but it will. And I feel like, and it's the most amazing journey. Yeah. Like I don't know. Everything about life is better as a mom.
Wow.
It is. Yeah.
Bev says it's important to have positive role models and just love them fiercely, which it sounds like that's what you guys are doing. So
yeah. It's also really tired. It's exhausting.
Oh yeah, I don't do anything besides work and take care of him and sleep. That's literally all I do. But,
I mean, so I can add, when you have a partner, you do get that reprieve, right? I think my experience may be different than who you're talking to, but I have a very supportive husband. He plays an active role in
no, for sure. I think the breaks would be, that'd be nice.
I mean, I think
I went to bed at 9 o'clock last night.
Woo! What was that with him?
You did what?
I went to bed at 9 o'clock last night.
Oh, but that's because you put your kids to bed too. At what time?
Well, I mean, he still had to be up with them and put Peyton's feet on and all that extra stuff.
All right, you're right.
I'm just,
Yeah.
I go to bed with him pretty much every night. So like I have this sleep schedule of a 4-year-old. So I do get my sleep.
Yes.
It's true. It's sad, but true.
I wish.
But again, I think it is better being older, because I miss nothing. I'm like, whatever, did all that. No, no need to do. So.
All right, so we've come to the point in our chat where we do a lightning round, and very much like Inside the Actor Studio. This is Tasha's part. She's going to ask you 11 questions, rapid fire. Tasha?
All right, who wants to go first?
I don't care.
But I will.
All right.
I looked at him. I'll go first, I guess. I don't know.
Yvonne.
Yeah.
Yvonne goes.
All right, what's your favorite word?
Succotash.
What's your least favorite word?
I don't think I have a least favorite word. I couldn't think of anything. Sorry.
Okay. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Wait, I'm sorry. Say that again.
What turns you on, creative, spiritually, or emotionally?
Okay, so I thought about this, and I work at the emergency room at Children's, and we have a lot of kids who come in for psych crises, and they're often very flat. Oh, here he comes. When they cry, and when their parent cries, but I'm like, we are getting somewhere here, and I get really excited. It sounds terrible, but when people cry in connection with each other, because like something's happening, we're doing some work, and that feels really, really good.
Okay.
What turns you off?
At work, lots of folks are like, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do. That makes me very mad.
Yeah.
And what's your favorite curse word? If you can say it. I know you got people.
Oh, shit show is one that I like a lot. I use that a lot, and yeah, he's rich.
All right. What sound or noise do you love?
I love the way how his breathing changes the second he falls asleep. When he's like laying next to me, and then you can tell right when he's breathing, that little breathing. I love that.
All right. What sound or noise do you hate?
My pager going off at the hospital.
All right. What
We have
profession,
pagers.
other than your own, would you like to attempt? What profession?
Well, my pat answer for this has always been Broadway singer. I cannot sing, but like that would be amazing if I were a different human being.
Okay. And what profession would you not like to do?
Flight attendant.
Mm.
I could never be a flight attendant. I just, no way.
All right. Who or what holds you accountable?
Well, I think, I do definitely think Ashley. I also very much, I have my parents' words from my childhood in my head often about you do the right thing. Like you just do the right thing. You just do the right thing. Like you just pay the extra taxes. You never cheat on anything. You just suck it up and you're honest. And and also with kids, the idea in my head is always, what would my mom do? What would my mom do? And that is always the most sort of loving, giving thing is what would my mom do? So that is often plays in my head.
Great testament to your mom too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. If you believe in heaven, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You learned a lot. You learned a lot. I think like you paid attention and learned a lot.
All right. Cool. Ashley, you're up. All right. What's your favorite word?
Humility.
What's your least favorite word?
I can't.
Mm-hmm. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Connection with people, like change in that moment, in those different moments.
Mm-hmm. What turns you off?
Arrogance and ignorance.
Mm-hmm. What's your favorite curse word?
Shit.
What sound or noise do you love?
Gabe has the most amazing laugh.
Nice. And what sound or noise do you hate?
The chime in my I am when I'm working and on a call and trying to do 4 other things.
What profession other than your own, which is awesome, would you like to attempt?
I would also say like something artsy. So Broadway singer, I did do some singing at points, and so there's definitely that piece of it. Or an artist, like someone who can paint and draw, and just I cannot do any of that at all.
All right. What profession would you not like to do?
I would not like to be an elected politician.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
No.
Who or what holds you accountable?
My family, my chosen family, almost in more ways than my blood family. My son and my core, my values. I'm probably my most accountable for myself, like the interior, that inside voice.
Yeah.
And if you believe in heaven, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Here's where you go to find all the people that you love.
Nice.
Nice. That's a great answer.
I like
That
it.
is a good answer.
That's a great answer. All right. Well, ladies, I want to thank you. We know you're busy moms, as Tasha's a busy mom. And I want to thank you. We want to thank you for joining us today, for having this conversation with us, for sharing how you all are accountable. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking your time to share with us tonight.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you. It was really fun.
Yeah, thank
Thanks
you.
for thinking of us.
No,
Yeah.
And to everyone watching, this is Tasha and Sharon. You'll see us next week. We don't know who we're talking to, but it's going to be really good, right?
Always do, right?
Always really good. It's always going to be really good. We've got an idea. It's going to come back.
Guys,
Yeah. Take care, everybody.
have a great week.
All right, bye-bye. Thank you.